I'm sure by now you know what is happening in Israel. There's the conflict going on between Palestinian armed groups, the Hamas, and Israel, basically, the Israel Defense Force.
It's been Gaza's deadliest day in 15 years, and 2 million Palestinians living there are now bracing for what's to come. Israel has formally declared a state of war.
And what happened Saturday morning, this Palestinian armed group called Hamas, in a surprise attack crossed the border between Gaza and Israel. They used these motorized paragliders and crossed the border. They went to Israeli military bases, took those bases over. They took hostages. They even killed some people, some soldiers here and there. They destroyed tanks. We saw all those things on Twitter. And then the state of Israel responded. Israel has one of the most advanced militaries in the world, thanks to the United States donating military equipment to that army. So they responded by bombing civilian settlement. In one apartment which they bombed had 100 or more than 100 families, and almost everyone was killed. So we saw that. And then the world started taking sides in this conflict. So the West and the US mostly takes the side of the Israel. So they support Israel. They don't see the evil of bombing civilian settlement, and they condemned the Palestinians, including the children and women, for being terrorists. And then it was the turn for Africa. The African Union, they took a neutral stand. They basically called for both parties to de-escalate, but they also highlighted the plight of the Palestinian people, because there is a position of the African Union, because they also call for the Palestinian people to be heard and to have a state, Palestinian state, because the West doesn't want the Palestinians to have their own country or their own state. And it is a stand of the United Nations Resolution 181 of 1947 that sought to create two states, one Arab state for the Palestinians and the other Jewish state of Israel. So from that time, Israel has been trying to take the whole land for themselves. And we know what they do. One of the flashpoints that led to this attack on Saturday, last week, but one, I think, Israelis invaded these Palestinian farmlands, and they they took those farmlands. They destroyed the homes of those Palestinians near Gaza, and then they started filling concrete into the boreholes that was giving water to these farmlands and the animals that were there. So I saw that, and those are the things that the Israelis do, and this lead to more emotions and tensions that lead to more conflict. But one person that surprised everyone in Africa was the Kenyan president. A lot of people are saying that he waited for the United States to issue their statement, then copy-pasted that to his own Twitter account. And he posted a very long tweet condemning the Palestinian people. I didn't want to believe it, so I went there to read it. And it was the most painful thing I've ever read, because every sentence was more painful to read than the previous one. And the Kenyans, as usual, they went to the reply sections of that tweet. They condemned him. They insulted him. They even said that he doesn't represent them, which is true. I want to agree with them, because he is now a puppet of the West. They said that. They called him a puppet of the United States. Because how do you type that? Do you condemn the Palestinians, not Hamas, but the Palestinian people, and then go back to act as if everything is normal? You can't do that, forgetting that not long ago a lot of African countries were going through the same thing. Very recently, South Africa was being ruled through an apartheid regime, which, by the way, Kenya was the only country in Africa to side and work with that apartheid regime. You can go to history and find out. Kenya worked with that apartheid regime in South Africa. So it was shameful to read, but the Kenyans also went there to voice their own stand and told him, whatever you've typed, that is not the stand of the Kenyans. We don't agree with your statement.